All right, everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Let's do it.
Today, we're tackling something that I think is on a lot of people's minds these days. Artificial intelligence,
Hmm.
AI.
Oh, yeah, it's everywhere you look, it seems like.
But we're going to be taking a look at this from a really unique perspective. So we're diving into Piero Scaruffi's book, Intelligence is Not Artificial.
I just finished this one. Such a thought-provoking read.
Me too. It really gets you thinking. And I think one of the things that Scaruffi does really well is he challenges some of the assumptions, maybe even some of the hype that we hear about AI.
For sure, like all those headlines about AI becoming super intelligent and taking over the world.
Exactly.
He pushes back on that, and he digs into why we might be getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, does that kind of stuff keep you up at night? I know some people are genuinely worried about a robot uprising or something.
I mean, it's good to be aware of the potential risks. But I tend to agree with Scaruffi. I think the way AI is often portrayed in the media, even by some folks in the tech industry, it's often driven by this desire for sensationalism.
Sensationalism.
You know, like those clickbait headlines, AI is going to steal your job. Or the robots are coming.
Oh, I see, I see.
It grabs attention, it sells newspapers and generates clicks.
And maybe helps some companies sell their products too, you know.
Absolutely. There's definitely a financial incentive to hype up AI advancements.
So if we kind of peel back some of that hype, what's Scaruffi's main argument here?
Well, one of the first things that really jumps out is that Scaruffi argues that we're already surrounded by non-human intelligence. It's just not the kind we typically imagine.
Oh, that's interesting. What does he mean by that?
Okay, get this. He's talking about biological viruses.
Viruses?
Viruses? Now, I know they might not fit our usual idea of intelligent being.
Like they don't have little brains or,
Right. But think about it. They show surprisingly complex behavior. They adapt to their environment, they evolve, they even outsmart our immune systems. And they've been doing this for millions of years.
I never really thought about it that way.
Yeah. And this really challenges our assumptions about what constitutes intelligence. It makes you wonder if we're being too narrow-minded in our definition of it, especially when we talk about AI.
It's kind of a humbling thought, right? I mean, we're over here trying to build super intelligent machines, and these tiny little viruses have been mastering intelligence for millennia.
It really puts things in perspective.
It does. And speaking of perspective, Scaruffi brings up another really interesting point about the limitations of computing power.
This one is really counterintuitive. I mean, you'd think that more computing power would lead to more intelligent AI, right?
Exactly. More power, more smarts, right?
But Scaruffi actually argues the opposite. He says that this focus on just building bigger, faster computers might actually be holding us back from truly understanding intelligence.
Okay, so how does he explain that?
Well, he makes this analogy that I think is pretty helpful. He says it's like trying to understand the human brain by just looking at a bunch of neurons under a microscope. Sure, you might see how individual neurons work, but you're not going to grasp the complexity of the whole system, how all those billions of neurons interact to create consciousness, emotions, thoughts.
So it's not just about the raw processing power.
No, it's about understanding the subtle ways those neurons connect and communicate, how they learn and adapt. And Scaruffi argues that we might be missing those crucial details when we just focus on brute force computation.
So we need a different approach, not just a bigger computer.
Exactly. And he suggests that maybe we should be paying more attention to how biological systems like the brain has already solved the problem of intelligence, rather than just trying to replicate it with silicon and algorithms.
Now that's an interesting approach, taking cues from nature.
It makes you wonder if there are some fundamental principles of intelligence that we haven't even discovered yet. And maybe those principles are completely different from the way we currently think about computation.
Yeah, maybe we need to completely rethink our approach. And this actually brings us to another really important point that Scaruffi raises, and it's something that I think everyone listening can relate to.
Oh, what's that?
Well, he suggests that we might actually be more successful at making humans more machine-like than we are at creating intelligent machines.
Oh, wow, that's a provocative thought.
It is. And it kind of makes sense when you think about it. We're surrounded by algorithms and systems designed to optimize our lives, to make us more efficient, predictable.
Yeah, I mean, think about how many of us live by our calendars and to-do lists.
Exactly. We follow step-by-step instructions. We rely on GPS to tell us where to go. We get notifications that tell us what to do and when to do it. It's almost like we're being programmed in a way.
It's like we're turning ourselves into these highly efficient, but maybe slightly less spontaneous beings.
And that actually makes me think of something else that Scaruffi talks about. He questions our very definition of intelligence.
Ah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
What does intelligence really mean? Is it processing speed? Is it problem solving? Is it creativity? Emotional awareness?
Right. And how do we measure it? Especially when we're trying to compare human intelligence to the kind of intelligence we're trying to create in machines.
That's like comparing apples and oranges.
Hmm.
Or like you said earlier, looking at a neuron under a microscope and expecting to understand the entire human mind.
Exactly. And Scaruffi really highlights the ambiguity of the term intelligence. It's such a slippery concept, and that makes it incredibly difficult to even talk about, let alone measure or compare.
So if we can't even define it clearly, how can we be sure we're even on the right track with AI?
That's a great question. And maybe it's not even about building machines that are more intelligent than humans. Maybe it's about developing different kinds of intelligence, intelligences that complement our own strengths and weaknesses.
Intelligences that can help us solve the problems we face as a species, like climate change, poverty, disease.
Exactly. And Scaraffi also points out that this fascination with superior beings, whether it's gods, aliens, or now super intelligent AI, it's a recurring theme throughout human history.
It's like we're always looking for something greater than ourselves, something to explain the mysteries of the universe.
And maybe that's part of what's driving this current obsession with AI. It's the latest chapter in our ongoing search for meaning and understanding.
And maybe, just maybe, this search will lead us to some truly groundbreaking discoveries, not just about AI, but about ourselves as well.
Well said. I think Scaraffi would agree with that. And as we wrap up our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a question to ponder.
I like it. Hit us with it.
If, and that's a big if, we could create truly intelligent machines, ones that could think, feel, and maybe even surpass our own abilities, should we? What are the ethical implications of creating such beings?
That's a really important question.
Yeah.
And there's no easy answer.
Exactly. So, as we continue to explore the world of AI, let's remember to keep asking those tough questions. And let's approach this incredible technology with both curiosity and caution.
That's some great advice. All right, everyone, thanks for joining us on another deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.